name is Corey DeMay. I'm the Senior Sales Engineer for Perspective. And today, I want to talk to you about how the Perspective Data Sync application integrates with some of the most widely used data targets, which includes databases and data repositories, data lakes in existence today. So this is kind of just an overview of kind of the integrations that Perspective offers to our customers to be able to replicate data from ServiceNow into the respective data lake or data target of your choice. What this does on multiple levels and essentially helps to consolidate data into a single repository or multiple if that's what our customers need, because there is needs for those as well. But essentially opens up the data for the entire enterprise where you don't have to manage large groups or individuals with direct access into ServiceNow for a variety of different reasons, from administrative to overall user license costs, those types of things, but also be able to leverage analytics and reporting tools such as like Power BI or Tableau, even using business intelligent modeling and the new buzzword of the day is AI, to basically take full control over the data that you already own into a repository that you choose to be utilized and leveraged in the way that meets your organization's needs and not just that of paying costs to third parties or others to facilitate that data or extraction, or leveraging large overhead aspects of data modeling in that particular case. So what we have been able to do is just leverage a lot of those internal actions within the ServiceNow environment, and then basically put in the middle, right, where we operate, is the Perspective message broker service itself. So in this particular architecture slide, what we illustrate here is that we are a native ServiceNow application. So we reside inside ServiceNow, and our menu sets are accessible just the way that you do anything else or any other actions that you facilitate or administer within the ServiceNow platform. So with regard to real-time data sharing, if it's creating records, updating records, or even deleting records, we can use data sync to synchronize your target data source or the database or data lake, data repository of your choice with regard to that data that you have that's being either inserted, updated, or deleted within the ServiceNow platform. And we do that through the message broker service that is Perspective owned and maintained. And we do that leveraging the three most prevalent cloud offerings on the planet. So AWS, Google Cloud, or Azure. These are Perspective owned and maintained, and so we are able to deploy these pretty much anywhere in the world based on those data centers that are already set up through either AWS, Google, or Microsoft in that particular case. So depending on if there's customer requirement for it or if it's just a matter of preference, we can deploy into any one of those particular cloud offerings with regard to where the message broker service sits itself. But from a customer standpoint, you maintain all of the configurations and data security within your ServiceNow environment. And then also on the right side of the screen is essentially setting up the agent aspect of what our platform encompasses. So the agent is responsible for decrypting the data that's encrypted from the ServiceNow side of it. It's encrypted at rest within the message broker service itself. And then the agent's responsible for essentially either updating the database or getting it to its final destination where you want it, like say AWS S3 bucket or in like Azure blob storage, any one of those particular types of scenarios, also including like Snowflake and some of the more higher end solutions as well that we can write data to. So from that perspective, we're able to then now free up your data to be delivered anywhere in the organization through the tools that you either might already have or that you might be looking at acquiring in order to help facilitate that with regard to BI type of analytics or dashboarding, those types of things. Power BI is a very powerful tool for doing that. A lot of other entities that we talk to are using Google's BigQuery So there's a number of different solutions that are available, and even from like the Idera family. We can talk to you about possibly leveraging something like Yellowfin in order to be able to do some of those analytics as well. So we're not limited, or we're certainly not limiting our customers in what you're looking at and kind of the scalability of where you want to go with it. And it's just really freeing up that information to be able to be shared and distributed organization or enterprise wide within your organization to different groups, entities, or departments. So from our perspective, we really just kind of cater to what is most important to you with regard to that. So if we come back over here, what we can do is we can actually see what Perspectium looks like on the platform itself. So as I mentioned, it is a ServiceNow integration direct on that. We install via update set if it's the Perspectium Data Sync full version. And so from this aspect of it, there's several different things that we want to talk about, which is essentially from that other side where we're talking about the message broker itself. So once the update set's installed, the only other items that you need to configure is the message broker itself. Each individual customer is set up with their own isolated and dedicated message broker itself. You're never commingled with data with any other customer. And so that's typically done via URL, username, and password that gives your ServiceNow instance access into the message broker to be able to essentially push that data off of the platform. So that's really the other aspect that separates Perspectium from other entities or solutions that are out there, is that we do not rely on the REST API in order to make query calls within the platform and then also extract the data off the platform. We're able to replicate those inserts, updates, and deletes dynamically or in real time, and then basically queue them in what we call a route bound table to be picked up by a scheduled job and then pushed off to the message broker service into what we call a queue. And once it's there, the agent then picks up that, which is basically just an HTTPS GET request from that particular queue, and then commit it directly into the database. The only REST API call that we make is to essentially get the current schema from ServiceNow. So ServiceNow is your origin or choice of, or essentially like where the data is structured. So it's going to trust that it is the source of truth and extract that schema from ServiceNow and then dynamically update your database on the other side. So there's no need to have to expand your schema on the database side in the event that the schema were to ever change. That happens automatically. It can happen on the fly. So those are things that are definitely highlights of what our solution provides. So in transit, because that's going to be another point of contention for any security-minded folks that are out there, we want to make sure that you understand that your data is encrypted and you have full control over not only the encryption method that you use, but also the keys that are used in order to encrypt the data and then also decrypt the data from the other side. So we support up to AES 256 level of encryption. There's just a notation saying that you're going to have, a pretty strong key in order to be able to leverage that. Otherwise, it won't let you use that level of encryption. And then also, so we can encrypt and decrypt on the platform, and then essentially be able to focus that on both sides of the data modeling here. So what the workflow itself. So you set the key inside your ServiceNow environment. Your agent is also now has that same decryption key to decrypt the data, and now you can update or maintain, rotate that as needed, and it's entirely in your hands because you control both the agent that's installed via either Windows or a Linux. That could be either on-prem, could be a cloud offering as well, or any mix of thereof. So there's really no limit to where your database exists. The only thing is just reduce latency by having it as close to your database or data target as possible. Once that's done, then essentially what we can do is we set up what we call the queues themselves. For purpose of a demonstration, I have many different types of queues that I've got set up. My primary that I use is specifically to a MySQL database. And here's our endpoint URL, essentially the message broker that I set up earlier, along with the queue user and queue user password. So those can be leveraged where you could have both, production, sub-production. Some customers can have multiple message brokers for different reasons. You can talk to us more about, whether that's something that we want to explore with you, but that is also a flexibility that we have. And then also you can specify a different encryption key if you don't want to use your default. But know that once it's set here, you can't view it once it's actually set. You can only view the one that's set at the global level in the properties page. There's also some queue monitoring set up here that you can alert you based on thresholds and warnings and those types of things. We can go into in-depth discussions if you wanted to have a more catered demo, or if you have questions that kind of reach further than what this demonstration provides. But kind of the highlights is really what I'm focusing on here. And this really is just the queue name itself. You specify what that is. You can have multiple queues for different reasons. That can be for performance balancing and those types of things. So there's really no limit to what you can do for that. And then just gives you just the status. It refreshes every 2 minutes just to give you an idea of what it is. If there's any messages that are queued, ready to be sent, messages that have been processed, the number of messages that have been sent. You can also get queue status at any time by just clicking this particular link here. But that's the next item that would be set up from your organization standpoint. And then we get into the sharing of data. So sharing is really just what we call the replication part of getting the data from ServiceNow into your data target. And that can happen a multitude of different ways. Dynamic sharing is real-time sharing off the platform. So if we drill into this a little bit more, we can come in here and just, look at the configuration that I have set up for my incident table. So this is more of the ITSM. You specify the table name. This is every table within your ServiceNow environment that you have access here. Right now, like I said, it's like I just have it for replicating data off of my incident table. I can have this set to where I can share all data from this particular table only. But if it is a hierarchical table, which, like task or anywhere in the CMDB architecture, you can set that where you don't have to set up individual shares for every table on your platform. You have the ability to do that, but you're not required for it. So you can, set these configurations to meet the needs so that you're not having to create hundreds or even maybe thousands of different tables that you're going to share off. So you do have that sense that you can set it based on parent-child relationships as well. These are the table triggers that I have set up. So right now I've got it set up for inserts, updates. I can also synchronize deletes. Since Perspectium also does archiving, I don't want to have that turned on, so for obvious reasons. But you can set that if you want to keep your data target in sync with the data that you have, which means also synchronizing of the delete actions themselves. Our sharing is reliant on business rules, but it also supports Flow Designer for the ServiceNow platform. Again, if we want to go into greater detail on that, please set up or request a demo by doing the request more information form on our website. This is the encryption levels that you can set. Right now, my default is AES-256. And then this is that queue that I mentioned earlier on the last screen as well. So that is essentially you're targeting the specific queue you want to go to once those inserts and updates occur. That's where it's going to go. I've also got to synchronize attachments, journal fields. I can also do reference field data as well. On the properties page that I was at earlier, there was a button where you can enable display values. I have that turned on by default. That will automatically send over, any of the selection items, where it'll give you the human readable value of those 1, 2, 3 options, or say the sysids or user ID, caller ID, whatever they happen to be, will be reflected in real, human readable format rather than their associated sysid, which is a little hard to decipher if you don't have those display values set. Display values are something you can set globally or you can set individually, so it's your choice. And then we kind of drill down further into specific conditions that you can have set, like say, if you wanted to do created by or even created dates at or before certain times or after, if you wanted to do that. And then you can set between as well. So you can set for a specific date, or you can, choose um, any one of the ones that are in the list already, and then build them based on and or statements as necessary. So there's lots of other configurations you can go into, but that's just kind of the basic overall highlights. If we go back here to the bulk sharing, there's a couple of different ways you can do bulk sharing. Certainly ad hoc bulk sharing of data, which its name suggests is just a large data set that you're sending out at one time. You can also set it for specific schedules. In this particular case, I've got 3 different schedules daily. You can have as many as you wish. So it's really, there's no limit to this. And you can even have, certain schedules, as long as it's not executing on the same table, you can have multiple schedules throughout the day doing different tasks, and that they are not interfering with one another in order to do that. But I just have 3 here for purposes of demonstration of what's possible. I've got basically like a 3 a.m. large data set that I'm sending out. I've got an 11 p.m. archive, which I mentioned we have that as a solution as well. So that just is demonstrating what we can do. And then really just hey, I can set a 12 p.m. Limited run of whatever bulk schedule that I want to have set. So I can set those up. I have all these set to not active right now, but if I did, these would all be active in that particular case. So once you have your schedules kind of arranged, and again, they can be anywhere from daily, weekly, multiple times a day, let's say every 4 hours, every 2 hours, every 20 minutes if you wanted. So there's really no limit to really what you can set there. But then you can go in and you can set your bulk share to then participate in that particular schedule if you wish. So you give it a name. And that's just a human readable name of whatever the bulk share is. And so you can set that up. And so then from here, you can set, let's say if I wanted to do the incident table, I can do that. And then I can also set, here's the queue that I'm basically targeting towards. So at this point, we can save the criteria. We can execute now with no conditions. The number of different things that we can do as well. So this also has those same options as far as attachments, journal fields. The share since then is what you would also check if you wanted to set a schedule. What it'll do is that every time that it executes, it will update this with a time date stamp. And that will update it with the appropriate epoch time of when, or epic time, depending on how you pronounce it, of when the last time that bulk share was executed, and then basically update that according to your preference there. So again, you have full control over what is being shared, when it's being shared out, and the conditions in which that it's shared. This is the same level of all of the different column data on that particular condition if you wanted to have it drill down a bit further. So once that's done, you can either save here again if it's going to participate in a regular execution, or execute now, which basically will just execute it with whatever conditions or settings that you have set here, and then basically send the data where it is that you need. So really, when it comes down to this is the SQL database that I have set up here for this operation as well. So we can actually see what it looks like in real time if we go out to our. I don't need to save that. So I can basically set up a brand new one here. I can say, let's just use Peggy down here. And then I can say demo purpose for new setup. Maybe that means something to somebody. I'm just making it up as I go. So if I want, I can set, say medium, submit, go ahead. Okay, so now I've created this brand new incident. So I've got my execution set for my dynamic sharing to automatically do that automatically. I forgot that I don't have my agent running, so I'll quickly start it. And so once that's done, what it does is it's automatically queuing that in my outbound table. So we can go and take a look at what that message looks like here. This is what that replicator message is. Since it's an insert, that's what it's going to reflect as. So it's table dot action is essentially what that is. If we want to look at what the contents is, this is the AES 256 level encrypted payload. So you're not going to be able to see or basically see what the message is at the encryption level. Since I do know what the keys are, because I have them set right here on this particular platform, I can decrypt the values. So as a Perspective administrator on this platform, I can see what specifically I have set here. So this is the message or the incident that we just created, and it has been sent as reflected here in the state, right? So demo for purpose for new setup. And so that's already gone out to my queue and being processed. If I go out to my database and basically just hit my lightning bolt, there we go. Our message actually shows up right there. We know that Peggy's the one who opened it. So in a nutshell, that's as easy as it is to get basically everything set up, operating and working. And this is how you get your data where you want it, right? So from that perspective, right, we can really just and enable you with the power of getting your data where you want it when you want it. Just kind of the plethora of tools that Perspectium has available. We can also archive data. This helps to cut down on the amount of data that you have on your ServiceNow platform so that you can, essentially free up table space, which increases not only performance, but overall ServiceNow processes within the platform. And now you can put your data in a lower cost solution out of ServiceNow. But then in the need that you ever need to bring it back, you can restore that data and you can basically drill down into specifically the information that you need. This is an example of restoration data that I did for my database here, where I'm basically telling it, hey, give me everything for company Acme China and everything at or before 1 year ago. So I'm bringing back all that. You could just specify individual records if you know the SysID, or you can give it the number of whatever table that you're on. So problem number, incident number, whatever have you. This will also bring back the attachments, journal fields, and audit data, provided that it was archived with that data. And then you can process it back into the system, and it will show back up as if it never left. So again, from the Perspectium side of it, we want to be able to help you leverage your data into the data target of your choice, and then really just put you in control of that data where you need. We have the same thing for a backup solution. And I'm just quickly running through this by giving it a name. And let's just say that you wanted to back up the ITSM data. It automatically selects those particular tables, and then you can essentially add or subtract any of these tables from these columns as needed. You can set similar filters of the condition data that we talked about earlier with regard to the shares. So as you're setting up these options, right, you can specify, okay, well, on incident, I want it to be the same thing, right? Only company, say Acme China, you could set that and then build and/or statements in the same way that you did conditions, and then continue building them out for different table filters and those types of things. You can also include the attachments and then, table components, which is essentially reference fields and those types of things, journals. You can set notifications and set schedules here as well. So the option or the advantage to a snapshot over, just kind of like a backup solution that you would get, say, from ServiceNow themselves, you control when the backup occurs, what the data is on that particular backup. And then also, the advantage is that in the event that you have a disaster, you can have just a basic instance restored. You don't have to have all of your data come back on to get, basically back up in business continuity aspect. You want to be able to utilize the platform while you're basically backfilling the data that you have over however long period of time that you need it, either from historical beginning, or let's say that, well, I only need the last 2 years and then I can figure out what I want to bring back. You can be in full operation and restore just the data that you want as your users are on the system. So again, because the fact that we're not impacting that REST API layer, your users and that web services layer are not impacted by the queuing of information to and from essentially the queue, in this particular case, from our message broker. So just as kind of the highlights of what it is that we do and how we operate. Here, I'll just briefly go back over and show that display value field here. So again, we want to maintain the simplest, effective way of what we do and how we work. If there's anything that I went over that you have more questions on, I urge you to go to our website and just basically fill out, talk to a sales, or even just peruse the frequently asked questions. But if you talk to sales, you can get in contact with us, get in touch with us, via the forum here and get specific over, the type of information that was covered in either this webinar or just in general, more questions, and we can cater a specific demonstration just for you and what specifically that you want to see, because there's so much detail that's involved in what we could do and what we can help you do, that it just isn't enough for us to be able to summarize in a quick webinar and a quick kind of overview of what the solution does. So I thank you for your time today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our sales team, and I look forward to talking to you in the future. Thank you very much, and have a great day.